Alex coming at you with another video. Today is going to be another Ultraman Orb related video. Now I know that I haven't made an Ultraman Orb related video in a really long time. Well, the reason for that is because of course the main series ended. Well, recently, last Friday, I was watching the first episode of Ultra Fight Orb. It was really awesome, by the way, in my opinion. But then, as I was watching, I was realizing I still haven't finished watching the Ultraman Orb Origin Saga. So I figured now since it's spring break and actually had the time to do so, I decided to finish watching the rest of Ultraman Orb the Origin Saga. Now, the format that I watched it in was, of course, without English subtitles, so if I was to remember every single piece of dialogue and every single storyline plot, well, I don't, unfortunately, and even then, there were probably many things that I probably forgot on the way of this review that I'll probably regret while rewatching this video and say, how come I didn't mention this? Well, anyway, this is just going to be pretty much a first impression of the entire series, pretty much, because there haven't been any episodes that I've rewatched recently. But yeah, anyway, let's begin. So, this series follows the tales of Guy Kiranai and Juggler on their adventures across the universe. You know, literally, they do go all across the universe, you know. So, what I really liked about the series is that you get to see Jugglers kind of devolve into a villain, you know. He starts off as Guy's best friend. They're both buddies and partners, and they like to go out and fight monsters. But over the course of the series, a lot of things really affect Juggler. For example, there's one part in the beginning of the first episode where Guy actually gets the orb caliber, and Juggler's of course jealous because of the fact that Juggler thought he was going to be destined to get it, but in the end, it was Guy Kiranai who got it. And then, spoiler alert for those of you guys who haven't watched the full series real quick. I mean, this entire review is going to have nothing but spoilers, of course. But spoiler alert again, there's one part where I guess Juggler had a kind of relationship with one of the alien Kanon. Not really a relationship, but kind of a bondage with one of the alien Kanon member of the species, who's pretty much part of the twins, and she has like a sword and gun. What I really found interesting is that Juggler only fell for one of them. He didn't fall for the other one. It's like, if one of them dies, you could just fall in love with the other one. Or better yet, if both of them were alive, you could try to get both of them. You know, you get two girls on your side. I mean, what are you doing, Juggler? But anyway, Juggler fell in love, I guess, sort of. I can't really tell if he did, because I can't really understand Japanese dialogue. So if I was to know that he really did fall in love, or if it was just a friendship, I wouldn't be able to know, because I can't understand Japanese. But anyway, Juggler, of course, develops some sort of bondage with one of the female alien Kanon. And then at one point, she gets killed by a Bezel. I guess that's what they call the monsters in the series. And, of course, it really hurts Juggler. You know, he pretty much goes insane after he sees it. And at one point, he just tries to destroy everything in his path, you know? What I really found funny about Juggler is that in this entire series, he cannot turn giant. The entire time I saw Juggler, even when it got closer to the finale, I was saying, Juggler, please find the ability to turn giant. I would love to see a giant reveal in the series. But unfortunately, Juggler is human-sized. It's like if you were to watch Power Rangers and the Power Rangers fought the giant monsters, human-sized, you know? It would be pretty cool, but it wouldn't be as spectacular as if Juggler was to be giant, you know? I feel like, at least at one point in the series, I would have loved to have seen Juggler become giant and just shock Ultraman Orb, because it would have added so much more development to Juggler. You know, the whole point of Juggler's character in the beginning of the Orb saga was to get the Orb caliber. Well, since he didn't get the Orb caliber, but he instead revealed his Majin form, it would have been cool for him to turn giant to show the other Ultraman that, hey guys, I'm on the same level as you. You guys may have been giant all before me, and you guys may be ultras, but I could still turn giant, and I still have this pretty neat looking sword. It would have been just so amazing to see, because it would have been a really triumphant spectacle for Juggler's character. But instead, Juggler, he just remains human-sized the entire series, and in my opinion, that was a huge disappointment. Not really a huge disappointment, but it was just kind of a disappointment with me, because I would really like to have seen Juggler's character triumph against the other ultras, not really in a fight, but I mean in terms of ego and such. But you know, that's just me. So I thought Juggler was a really cool character. It was great to see him return. His outfit looked really nice. It reminded me kind of like of the Exilians from Godzilla Final Wars. I don't know. I'm not sure what you would compare the outfit to be honest. But yeah, Juggler, really good character, but I feel like there should have been more to him. There was a really funny scene in Aggle's episode when Ultraman Aggle is fighting one of the Bezelbs, and it was really funny because Juggler actually fights off the Bezelb for a bit, and Ultraman Aggle just decides to take a step back and just watch it. It's like Ultraman Aggle's thinking, look at this little bug, he's fighting off his little monster. Isn't it so cute? That's why I would have loved to have seen Juggler become giant, because I feel like if Juggler turned giant in the Orb Saga series, it would have allowed the other Ultramen and their host to take Juggler seriously as a powerful ally, or at least an opponent somewhat to them. But as long as Juggler was human-sized, the other Ultras were just kind of looking at Juggler do his thing and just saying, "Oh, look at this little bug. He's trying to fight like us Ultras." So that's why I would have loved to have seen him turn giant. But again, that was just a minor disappointment. That's just me, because of the fact that Juggler never turned giant, he wasn't ever like the star for at least that one bit of the show. He was more of like the side character, a sideshow. He wasn't really the main focus, of course. Okay, let me think. So another character that I would really like to talk about is the alien Kanons, which are some of the they consist of some of the main protagonists. What I really like about the alien Kanon race is that they have this nice contrast to them. They dress and they live in a very primitive manner. They don't have cities like us, but they live out in a forest, and they have pretty simple-minded homes, and they dress like people from the 11th century in Japan, feudal Japan. They dress like samurais and they use swords. But what's also really neat in terms of that contrast is that they're also really advanced. Their royal family is able to turn into these giant, powerful, ultra-like beings. They can travel in spaceships across planets, and they also have laser guns. So in my opinion, that was a really nice contrast done by Subaru Productions for the Alien Kanon, because it gave them this kind of primitive, but at the same time really advanced feel to them. So it really had a nice contrast, and I really gotta give Subaru Productions props for actually doing that with the Alien Kanon. It made them seem really interesting. And I think my favorite alien Kanon, which is of course pretty obvious, it's a mate. A mate, she's like the best. She's like the war god, literally. A mate is a part of the royal family, and the thing is that when she was younger, a Gargorgon attacked her home village, and I thought that was really interesting because whenever I think of Gargorgon, I think of her or it. I don't know. Was it a female in Ultraman Orb the Saga? I don't know. They didn't explain. I know in Ultraman X it was a female, but then that's like saying every bird on is a female. But anyway, Gargorgon was in Ultraman X, and she was a really powerful villain, but here she wasn't as powerful. She was more of a side story arc, for a mate, and she was more of a flashback character. I would have loved to have seen her make some sort of return, I guess, but, at least she made that kind of minor appearance, at least it was something. But anyway, Gargorgon appears in a mate's flashbacks all the time, and it turns out that a mate's mother was also the war god before her, so once a mate's mother passed away, a mate herself became the queen of planet Kanon, and then inherited the powers to become the war god. Now, that was something that I found really interesting. The whole time I was watching the Orb Saga, I was thinking, how come this character can only turn into the war god? And then I was reading on the Ultraman Wiki, it stated that only the royal members of the alien Kanon species can turn into this war god. And that was a really great concept, because without the specification of only the royal family members, it would make it as if any member of the alien Kanon race can turn into a giant being, and I really like that concept, the fact that only special and royal individuals of the bloodline can inherit this amazing ability to turn into this giant, powerful war god. Anyway, but I really like the war god, a mate's war god form. She was extremely powerful. When I saw her in episode 6, she pretty much had an ultra barrier, but it was just so big. But over the course of time, it felt like she became a burden to Ultraman Orb and the other Ultras, because there would be certain parts where she would be turned evil, and the Ultras would have to fight the war god. Well, not really fight, but just try to get her to be uncorrupted, I guess, in a sense. And I'm going to talk about a mate more on later, but I want to talk about the main villain of the show, Dr. Psyche. I didn't even know that was his name, I didn't even know any of these names, but I had to look them up on the Ultraman Wiki because I can't know what their names are or the subtitles. Anyway, Dr. Psyche is a member of the Alien Wraith, or Alien Wraith species, which is a species that we actually only see one member of for some reason. I guess, you know? I mean, honestly, I would have preferred if Dr. Psyche was a member of the alien Kanon race, if he was a defector from planet Kanon. It would have given him a more kind of character arc, or they could have done one with him, where he was actually somehow related to the bloodline, but maybe he felt jealous that he didn't get the War God form, you know? Maybe there could have been a lot more of a personal, deeper connection with Dr. Psyche and the rest of the characters. But now, since you made Dr. Psyche just his own separate species of characters, then it doesn't really have that much development, I guess, for him to go against alien canons. But anyway, I like Dr. Psyche. You know, it was really interesting to see an older villain. Usually, whenever there's a villain, they're usually pretty young, you know? Well, not really young, but they're either a dark entity, like a dark Ultraman, or some sort of dark evil being, or they're some sort of younger woman, I guess, who's the villain. But I found it really interesting that we had an older man as the villain. I really like that concept, you know? I'm trying to think when was the last time we ever had something like that, but, you know, I'm pretty sure there's something out there with an older villain, but I just can't think of anything off the top of my head. But I really like Dr. Psyche. He was really cool, but at the same time, he didn't really have a monster form. Well, actually, in the series finale, he did have a monster form, which was known as Psyche, where he combined himself with the alien, with the Queen Bezel, and I thought that was a really nice, just kind of pull off for Dr. Psyche. But I'm going to be getting to more on that later. So, yeah, but the main monster of the series, pretty much the main star of this entire series, not really the main star, but the main monster that you see so many times, are the Bezels. Now, the Bezels, they don't really have a special design, you know, they're just a bunch of bugs that fly around, you know, they remind me of beetles and other bees and such like that, you know, you can pretty much compare to them any sort of bug, you know, and I thought the Bezel's design was cool, but there's nothing really, I don't know, they get a bit generic after a while. You know, the Bezels are really easy to kill. You know, I think there was even one part where the Japanese Self-Defense Force fought the Bezels, and they actually managed to hurt the Queen Bezel, and even managed to take out all the other Bezels. So I'm pretty sure if an army of Bezels were trying to take over Earth, I'm pretty sure the United States military, the Japanese Self-Defense Force, would have a pretty alright time of taking them out. I'm pretty sure you could take them all out with an atomic bomb. But anyway, yeah, the Bezels, they're not the strongest monsters. In my opinion, they're nowhere near being the strongest monsters, you know? They're really just kind of side villains that the main Ultras would fight to just kind of show off their powers, or to just kind of get them out of the way for an even stronger monster that's within the area. This series actually featured a really nice concept, in my opinion. It featured a kind of parasitical concept, you know, where a parasite would pretty much infect other monsters that are not under its influence, you know, monsters that might not be inherently evil, but once the monsters get infected by Queen Bezel, then they will turn evil and pretty much be under the control of Dr. Psyche, and I really like that concept. Some of the this is called Kugutsu, you know, this is pretty much when the monsters are under the evil parasite control, and some of the monsters that consist of this are Vakashim. I'm trying to think, what was that one monster's name? You know, they had Vakashim, they had Earthron. Oh, Earthron? Oh, I'm sorry, Arstron. Yeah, apparently Earthron's name got changed to Arstron. I have no idea why. This is just like Kamala and Camera, or Katana Zoa and Katana Thor. Oh my goodness, Ultraman Wiki is renaming everything now. They're changing my childhood. Why? Now I can't even call Earthron Earthron. Now I have to call him Arstron. Anyway, yeah, I was just dying. But anyway, yeah, the Kugutsu monsters, they consist of a lot of monsters. They have the Ultraman Ace monsters, like, for example, Vakashim, and there was that one dinosaur monster. He was on the first episode of Ultraman Ace, and he came back later, and I literally forgot his name. What a disgrace. This is one of my favorite monsters, too, and I literally just forgot his name. Anyway, they use a lot of Ultraman Ace monsters in the series for the Kugutsu monsters, and I thought that was really great. They also use some Ultraman Jack monsters, which was pretty nice as well, and they also use Gezura as well from the original Ultraman, or Ultraman X, or the Ultraman Mebius movie, whichever one you want to go by in terms of King Gezura's design. Yeah, but anyway, in the main series, Guy Kiranai and Douglas Juggler are managing to go around the universe. It's really cool. And the first place that they go to is planet Ririn, which is a place where they have a bunch of human sand people, as I like to call them. They speak with a really high pitched voice, and they wear these little sand goggles, I guess. And what I really liked about it is that it really established it. I think in the second part of the episode that it takes place in, they actually managed to play the Orb Thunder Breaststar theme, and I was like, man, this is amazing. But aside from that, I don't think they played that many Ultraman Orb themes from the show. They don't play the original theme song, and they don't play some of the other fusion up forms. They just play the Orb Origin melody and Guy's melody, but they don't actually play a lot of the original themes from the show, which in my opinion would have been pretty disappointing, because in the climatic fight, I would have loved to have heard the Ultraman Orb theme song. I thought that would have been like, yeah, let's get this fight going, which honestly, going to the climatic part of the series, I was a bit disappointed, but I'll be getting to that later. So in the first few episodes of Ultraman Orb, Juggler and Ultraman Orb are pretty much on planet Ririn. They're fighting off the Bezelbs, and they're also fighting off Bemstar, which was pretty cool. I really liked the fight sequences with Bemstar. What I really liked about the series is that I got to see more flying Bemstar. Usually Bemstar is on the ground, but it was nice to see him fly around and actually do a lot of damage, which was pretty cool. But eventually Ultraman Orb actually gets reunited. Well, not really united, but he gets united with some previous Ultraman hosts, which include Ultraman Dyna's human host, Shin Asuka, and Ultraman Cosmos' host, Musashi. Yeah, I forgot his name, I think it was something like that. My brain's really off today. This is in the morning. I just woke up, I'm pretty much dead. But it was really cool to see Ultraman Orb team up with Ultraman Dyna and Ultraman Cosmos. And it was also really nice to see the kind of bond between Ultraman Cosmos and a mate. We always felt like Cosmos was worried for a mate. I think one of the best parts was when we got to episode 6 and such, where Ultraman Orb and Ultraman Dyna were fighting off Vakashim and that monster whose name I forgot at the moment. What was his name? Literally, how can I forget this guy's name? Oh, Verocron! Yeah, Verocron. I literally just forgot that guy's name, literally. What's even worse is that I've seen the episode with him many times, and he's one of my favorite monsters. I love the roar sound effect that he does, and I want to get a figure of him, but at that particular moment, I forgot his name. It was Verocron. Anyway, Ultraman Dyna, Ultraman Orb fight off Verocron and Vakashim, but a mate tries to kind of talk to Queen Bezel, but she gets infected once. For the first time in the series, she gets infected twice, and pretty much the Ultras have to try and stop a mate from trying to destroy everything. And in that same episode, Juggler's girlfriend, I guess, kind of dies, and then he becomes evil, and he gains his Majin form. What I found really interesting is that after Juggler gained his Majin form, he pretty much became evil and destroyed the tree, this giant tree in the series. I don't even know what you call this tree, because again, I don't understand Japanese, but he destroys this giant tree that exists on planet Kanon, and my whole concept was, why did he destroy the tree? And then after he destroyed the tree, the other characters are angry at him, but then they pretty much forget about it in the next few episodes and don't even do anything to him. It's like, Juggler, I can understand if you're angry that your girlfriend died, but destroying a tree that might actually hold the life support system in planet Kanon would be just as bad, because that's the same planet that the girl who you liked was from. So why would you destroy something that your girlfriend liked? I just didn't understand that. Maybe I need to, when the show comes out with English subtitles, maybe there's a very particular reason, because I know the Bezel monsters were trying to gain energy from the tree that was on planet Kanon, but again, I can't really confirm anything once again, because there are no subtitles, so I don't really know for sure exactly. I'm just speculating on a possibility. But yeah, I thought that pretty part was cool. But the entire series, from the beginning, has a mate. She has this connection with this main character from Earth, whose name I don't really remember, because I'm not sure. I guess I didn't understand what his name was. But anyway, it's basically these scientists. They discover this little archaeological finding underwater, and they try to study it. But a mate, the War God, aka the War God, is having a connection with one of the main scientists. And when they finally reunite, close to the end of the series, it was so nice, they see each other for the first time and they hug, and it looks so nice, So what I really thought was interesting was that they have a connection, and to be honest, those were some of my least favorite sequences. I didn't really like the sequences with the human scientists, because I felt like it was kind of pointless. But surprisingly, the series got pretty good when it got to Earth. I'm not saying that the series was bad, but it got slightly even better when the series got to Earth, because I feel like at that time we finally got to have the connection from planet Kanon and planet Earth, and finally all the main characters get to Earth, and then we also have Gaia and Agol, and things start getting really intense once things get to planet Earth. So I guess that's why the series kind of got better, but I don't know. But in the beginning halves of the series, I did not like the Earth scenes too much. I mean, I thought they were okay, but they were just kind of boring to me because nothing really happened in the Earth scenes, to be honest. I mean, it was character development, but yeah, I mean, that's just me, to be honest. So as the series progresses, we get to see Gamu and Algol, we get to see Gaia and Algol, which is really great to see them, I thought the, music that they used for Gaia and Algol, it was really cool, especially Algol's thing. They blasted that thing. They must have that thing blasting on speaker, and I could tell that Algol once again had a lot of fun showing off his arrogant skills as an Ultra Warrior. Anyway, it was just a really nice sequence whenever Guy and Agol were in the series and such. And Ultraman Orb, of course, did his part to save the main characters from any sort of trouble. Surprisingly, this is one of the only Ultraman series that I've seen where the Japanese Self-Defense Force intervenes in something. Usually I don't see them too often, but for once they actually did something. Hippie hip hooray! Anyway, but while I was watching, well, not really watching, but while I was aware that the Ultraman Orb Saga was going to take place on Earth, I was wondering, how are they going to fit this in Guy's universe, in Orb's universe, if Ultraman Orb appeared in the 1900s, and then no one had ever heard of Ultraman Orb prior to that. So, but then I remember, but then I was watching the series, I was thinking, okay, this is taking place on an alternate Earth. Okay, that makes sense now, because at first I was thinking, oh no, a time paradox is probably going to occur. But anyway, once we get to the finale of the fight, we get to see that Dr. Psyche, once again, his plans have been foiled. He failed to blow up Orb and Juggler on the moon because they managed to survive that because they're the main characters. And then Dr. Psyche tries to use the Queen Bezel monster and all the other Bezelbs to take out Gaia and Agol. But in a last-ditch attempt to save Queen Bezelb's life, Dr. Psyche fuses with Queen Bezel to form Psyqueen. And then we get the main final monster of the series to fight off against Ultraman Orb, Ultraman Dai, Ultraman Cosmos, Ultraman Gaia, and Ultraman Algol. So I thought when I first saw this, I was thinking, yeah, now things are gonna get awesome. This is gonna be amazing. And then, as soon as the fight begins, Ultraman Orb literally dodges Psyqueen and goes to help a mate, which I feel like, it was nice. You also have a little part sequence where the main characters are going up to the giant tree of Kanon, and they're getting the little fruits to help the Ultras regain their energy and such. But I feel like the climatic battle could have been much better, It felt like Guy and Algol were really the only ones fighting the main monster, and then Ultraman Orb just came at the last second to defeat Psyqueen, but I just felt like the final sequence could have been better, with all this build-up, and, no offense, but all the other episodes are taking place within the same city block. So with all the fights that have been taking place, I was wondering, how come the city block isn't destroyed? Oh, right, as I said, they gotta make sure they preserve the building. I just wanted more from the main climatic battle, I felt like it wasn't as great as it could have been, I'm not saying that it's bad, but I've seen better climatic fights, I mean, I just felt like there could have been more focus on the Psyqueen battle instead of Queen Bezel, because we've already seen Queen Bezel so many times in the series, so by the time Psyqueen got involved, it felt like he didn't actually have time to defeat the Ultras, You think that if Dr. Psyche and Queen Bezel formed and merged, they would have a sequence where they actually defeat the Ultras and there would be no chance for them. And then the final battle would be so much better. Because it felt like Ultraman Orb didn't even have that much time against Psyqueen, and it was just some other Gaia and Algol fighting Psyqueen. I mean, I don't know. I didn't think the final battle was terrible, but I felt like it could have been better, That's just me, I felt like there could have been more to it. But anyway, overall, I don't want to talk about it for too long about this series. Overall, I thought the series was pretty neat, It was a nice saga, I'm just glad that I got it done with so I could say that I saw it, I would be definitely sure to watch it when the series comes out with English subtitles. I thought the series was pretty good. It's not on my top favorites, but it was a pretty good series, It had a lot of unique concepts and some new ideas to bring to the table, but there were just some things that I felt like they could have fleshed out in terms of character development, and some things that I felt like could have been fleshed out in terms of the final battle. But overall, is the series good? Yeah, you should definitely take your time to go watch the series, because surprisingly, there are still some people, just like me at the time, who hadn't watched the series. So I definitely recommend it, and I hope the series comes soon with English subtitles. And also, guys, yeah, I'm just glad that I got the series done, because now that means I could put all my focus into something that's probably slightly more exciting, Ultra Fight Orb. After that first episode, man, yeah, I'm going to do a separate video on Ultra Fight Orbs episode 1. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. If you guys enjoyed this video, like, comment, share, subscribe. We'll be seeing you guys next video. Bye.